రామచంద్రమూర్తి గారిని ఇప్పుడు సార్ ఎంత టైం ఉంది నాకు అంటే మీరు ఎంతసేపు అన్నా మాట్లాడండి అంటే నా మనసులో నేను అనుకున్న ఆయన ప్రమాదం కొని తెచ్చుకుంటున్నాడు, ఆయనకే కాదాక ప్రమాదం మీకు కూడా. ఎంతసేపు మాట్లాడమంటే ఎంతసేపు అయినా మాట్లాడవచ్చు. కాకపోతే ముందుగా రెండు విషయాలు వారి అనుమతితో. My greetings to all of you on this 76th Republic Day. And congratulations to Malapalli for having successfully completed 1 year discourse on the Constitution of India. Perhaps, subject to correction, this is the one and only occasion in this country where the discourse is spread over for a period of 1 year exclusively on the Constitution and aspects. I don't think it has happened anywhere. Very distinguished and eminent speakers, scholars, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens were able to participate and contribute their thinking and understanding of the Constitution of India. Before I further proceed, with the permission of the chair, may I request all of you to stand up and read the preamble along with me, with your right hand stretched. We will all read together. We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief,
faith,
and worship,
equality of status,
and of opportunity,
and
to promote among them all fraternity, assuming the dignity of individuals and the unity and integrity of the nation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's my turn to Jai Bhim. It's my turn to say a few words. Somebody, I think Professor Lakshminarayan in his address, said there is one predominant section in this country who did not accept the Constitution for a very, very long time. But now they pretend as if they have accepted the Constitution. In that narration, he said, according to them, there is nothing Indian about the Constitution and everything is foreign. I believe you said that word. They still believe it. That's how not only regularly and in a routine fashion go every year to Davos, but also all major European and Western countries welcoming them to tell their multinational companies to come and do business in this country. What is the offer? The offer is, we will provide land free of cost. Beg your pardon? Sometimes even free. Sometimes even free. When Dalits of this country, scheduled tribes of this country, demand for distribution of the land that is at the disposal of the government, the answer is, the land is not available. Next day you will find 150 acres of land is allotted to Ramchandra Murthy Garu for establishing blah 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 a company. And they say we will not impose any power charges. We will supply free water. If the water is not available at the site selected by you for your business purposes, we will divert the rivers and ensure that the water reaches you. So in what manner we have understood the Constitution? What do we mean by socialism? It means nothing except the directive principles of state policy incorporated in Part 4 of the Constitution. At least for the last 15 years, after I have come back from Delhi, I have yet to come across a major articulation by any court in India as to what is the meaning and purport of the directive principles of state policy. For the constitutional scholars and the honorable judges of that era, right from Subbarao, Patanjali, B.B.N. Bose, Krishna Iyer, Justice Chinnappa Reddy, Justice Jeevan Reddy, Chief Justice Venkatachalaya, for that matter even Dr. Yashwant Chandrachud, not the present Chandrachud, his father. They have considered the directive principles of state policy to be the prime movers. That's how Baba Saheb understood the idea of a constitution as an idea of social transformation. He knew, and he said in the Constituent Assembly, while answering some questions, debate, that democracy in India is top dressing. Cultural transformation and social transformation has to take place. And that would happen not merely by bringing the constitution into force, by practicing constitutional morality, which is a difficult task. What do we mean by dignity? The expression fraternity was not there in the aims and objects resolution moved by Panditji. Many of you are perhaps aware. The expression fraternity was added into the preamble at the instance of Baba Saheb. His lifelong struggle for that value, his lifelong struggle for the dignity, he thought The dignity should be accompanied by fraternity. Otherwise, it becomes the dignity of few chosen selective individuals coming from the upper strata of the society. This is what the Constitution means. My good friend Mr. Ramesh read one speech, one portion of the speech delivered by Baba Saheb on 4th November 1948. But thereafter, another important speech, it is almost about runs into 30 pages. On 25th November 1949, that was the closing day of the Constituent Assembly debates. Baba Saheb said, I shall not therefore enter into merits of the Constitution, because there was a lot of criticism. You have made it too long, you have made it too rigid, you have made it too flexible, you have made a very detailed one. Somebody said you made it very precise. A lot of debate has taken place. He said, I shall not enter into the merits. The debates are over, it's coming for approval. Because I feel, however good a constitution may be, it is sure to turn out bad. Because those who are called to work it happen to be a bad lot. What is that bad lot? Do we see throughout this country who are involved in the governance of this country? Is it a good lot or a bad lot? How could Baba Saheb anticipate that if you entrust to operationalize the provisions of the Constitution to a bad lot, it would remain to be a bad document? The working of a constitution does not depend wholly upon the nature of the constitution. The constitution can provide only the organs of state, such as the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. He mentioned three main organs which find place in the constitution. He did not, Baba Saheb did not mention about the fourth estate, which is now considered to be fourth pillar of the constitution. I'll come to about it, say a little, not very long. The factors on which the working of those organs of the state depends are the people and the political parties they will set up as their instruments to carry out their wishes and their politics. We have one distinguished legislator here belonging to a political party. How these political parties are organized, how these their manifestos are framed, what are the promises they make to the people? Do they fulfill? Did we ever ask them, do whatever you have said, nothing more, nothing less? We don't ask anything beyond that. We don't. Who can say how the people of India and their purposes, or will they prefer revolutionary methods? This is what Baba Saheb is saying. Of achieving them. If they adopt the revolutionary methods, however good the constitution may be, it requires no prophet to say that it will fail. It is therefore futile to pass any judgment upon the Constitution without reference to the part which the people and their parties are likely to play. That's the crux of the problem. Baba Saheb did not omit judiciary. He said the functioning of the constitution, how effectively it would serve the people of this country would depend upon the functioning of these three great instruments. Shall we examine very briefly? Possibly I could be repeating something what I have said yesterday, because I was speaking for almost about 1.5 hours. The issue was framed like that. Constitution and the challenges faced by it. Legislature, be it parliament, be it the legislative assemblies, how do they function? For how many days they meet in a year? How the debates take place? How the bills are navigated? The most controversial two bills I have come across in the recent past. One is the repeal of Manrega and its a substitution by Ramji Ram. There is no need to quarrel with the names. ठीक है, अगर महात्मा जी को उसमें से अगर आप निकाल दिए तो निकाल दिए. महात्मा तो कभी के गायब हो गए. आप नाम रखने से या नाम निकालने से कुछ ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. We have successfully killed his ideas. Not only killed him, but killed his ideas also. Therefore, I do not take a major objection. And I do not take objection for the incorporation of Ram's name. Ram, according to me, was a liberal constitutional democrat. Refused to cross the line. Therefore, I don't find any objection because Ram's name is included. I do not go to that level. Some of them take objection. It is their liberty and their choice. How is it debated? I have read a small news item or scroll, I don't know, I don't remember, that such and such a bill is likely to come up today for discussion. In the morning I rang a member of parliament because I got acquaintance with them in this recent journey of mine. Sir, can you send me the copy of the bill? I am really concerned as to what is coming up for discussion. He said, what bill? I said, this is the bill. No, we don't have any information. He was going to the parliament, he was in the car on the way to parliament. In the cabinet it is called, what you call is table agenda. In the parliament what you call is supplementary list introduced with the permission of the Honorable Speaker. Good. A bill of such drastic consequences comes as a supplementary list and taken up for discussion. How would they be prepared? What would be the contribution of the parliamentarians? If that is introduced, say for instance in Andhra Pradesh Assembly, what our friend Kolikapudi would have addressed, because he doesn't know anything, papers were given to him after he assembled in his seat. What are the federal issues involved? Did any state represented by their parliamentarians effectively could present their version? They have introduced a bill, as usually these people started shouting. The usual thing. It repeals the Manrega, which is based on the principle Har Haath Ko Kaam Do, और काम का बराबर दाम दो. That was the demand, ultimately culminated in the shape of a right, statutory right, where the workers could demand. Which was the instrument that was operationalizing the scheme under Manrega? Gram Panchayat. What was the monetary contribution of the state? Now and then 10% under some headings, which Mr. Ramesh knows it better. I will not go into details of that. The rest of the entire money was to be borne by the Union of India. Now you have made it 60 to 40. Mr. Ramesh has a lot of experience on the administrative side. I don't think there is any state in this country which is not debt-ridden. Unbearable debt. You are compelling this. They have their own schemes, their own policies, good, bad, ugly. Now you are making them to spend 40%. And in one scheme, if they don't pay, they are unable to pay, and that 40%, the scheme would not be implemented. That means you are doing something indirectly which you could not have done directly. Constitution prohibits such a course of action. A thing which you can't do directly will not be permitted to do indirectly. That's one of the basic principles in jurisprudence. And where this work will happen? Would it come into operation throughout the country on the date notified? No. It shall come into operation in the states, mind you, and the areas to be notified by the government from time to time. There is a Communist Party regime in Kerala. I refuse to notify the provisions of the Act to come into existence there. I have X government, Y government somewhere, not too many. Some remain, we don't know how long they will remain. Suppose they are not notified. Then the subtext of it. I will notify only those areas represented by my party. My party means I am the concerned minister. I am the rural development minister, belonging to party A. There are 6 or 7 legislators in a particular state coming from that party A. That state and that area will be notified. What happens to the rest of the areas? And the poor chief ministers have to cry, अरे भाई हम 40%, 40% हम देना और हमारे राइवल एमपीस जहाँ पे है वहाँ पे जो है आप स्कीम इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं. Is it constitutionally valid? Is it not per se arbitrary, discriminatory? Where shall we go? Executive brings that legislation. Legislature approves it. Some friends like Anand go to the judiciary and challenge its constitutional validity. Perhaps there is every possibility of saying, नहीं भाई ये राम जी का राम मामला है, ये हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते, ये राम का मामला है. राम का मामला नहीं है वो, मगर नाम में है ना राम, तो हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Get the seed of approval. And what would the result? It would shut all your mouths. Because they would say yes. What do you want to say? The apex court of this country has certified what we did is absolutely right. What would be the headlines Dr. Ramchandra Murthy would have carried if he was editor? Ram's act is constitutionally valid. Center's stand is vindicated. Another sideline heading, opposition has lost its face.
Yeah.
Sir, I think I have covered all the 4 pillars. That is the way the Constitution is being operationalized today. Then I take up one more issue. I would not go into the merits of the repeal of Article 370, which provided special status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. I look at it to 2 parts. One is upholding 370. That would be a long debate for another day, if Lakshman so pleases. But for the first time, a state, a province, is converted into union territory. Issue was very hotly debated in the Supreme Court. And the learned Attorney General and learned Solicitor General make a solemn promise before the court that the state would be duly restored within a short span of time. That's as good as the union government coming before the court and making a statement. That is the level of understanding and importance attached to those offices. Then the promptly Supreme Court asks, what else you want? Elections are now coming. 370 is no more there. Matter of some fine tuning and adjustments would be there. The state would be restored. And the court promptly records it in the judgment. In view of the solemn statement made by the Attorney General and Solicitor General, we think it is not necessary to further debate and dilate on this aspect. And we record the undertaking given by the Government of India. What remains for that state? That's why Baba Sahib said, if the Constitution fails, not because it's bad, because the man is wild. I don't have to tell you what is the meaning of wild. I request all of you to go and check the dictionary. What an expression used by the visionary. The man is wild. Singular, the man was wild. I leave it there, I don't go any further. What would happen to the state? What would happen to idea of the federalism? I'll touch briefly upon the idea of constitution here and there. India is a union of states. India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. The country has no boundaries of its own. If you have to see what is Ladakh and what is the adjoining nation, you look at the boundary of the Ladakh. It is not the boundary of the nation or boundary of the country. All the boundaries for that matter. That is the idea of India. That's how it is a union of states. That's how it is federal in its character. It's a federal because it contemplates the idea of decentralization of power, which today we find the increasing centralization. You take out subjects like education, many other subjects, lift it from the concurrent list and put it into the union list, snatch away some of the items, entries from list 3, that is, in respect of which the state could make law. Take over and make it part of the union list. How about the centralization? Take care of the remote areas, say state of Telangana, or for that matter state of Telangana. The very concept of federalism is decentralization of power. I'll come to that a little bit later. Therefore, if you read the whole of it, when he was talking about grammar of anarchy, he was sure that the avenues, the forums, the redressal mechanism provided under the Constitution are available. On that presumption, Baba Saheb said, no more civil disobedience and no more satyagraha. Exactly since those avenues were disappearing, Dr. Lohia tells us, जब सड़क खामोश है, सदन आवारा बनेगा. बन गई कि नहीं? क्योंकि सड़क खामोश है, मनरेगा गायब होकर राम जी राम कैसा आ गया? State of Jammu and Kashmir suddenly disappeared from the map and has become part of the union territory. ये कैसा हुआ? क्योंकि सड़क खामोश है. Streets are silent. When Baba Saheb made that statement, Grammar of Anarchy, Baba Saheb was acutely conscious. After all, it is he who drafted, piloted, struggled, answered that our presence of Article 19 in the Constitution of India. Assemble peaceably without arms, freedom of speech and expression, your right to protest on the streets. These are all the cherished, guaranteed fundamental rights. If those avenues are not available, the second part of Baba Saheb's statement, no more satyagraha, no more civil disobedience, would not be applicable. I mean, this is my personal view. That's how I have read the Constitution. That's how I have understood it. These things do happen. I said I do not know whether I am a citizen of India or not. I do not know how many of you are passport holders. That is the only authentic document where your citizenship can be. Suppose somebody asked me whether my mother, my father were citizens of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I must confess, I have no proof. They were hardly literate, living in the village, having their own cultivation, their own style of living, their own. None of those documents which are being insisted by the Election Commission of India today would have been in their possession. Then the question may crop up. If both your citizens, father and mother, were not citizens of this country, by birth, how is that you have become a citizen of this country? These are the serious questions that are cropping up in this new sir. Professor Chakrapani and Professor Lakshminarayana, they are my teachers. I mean, in the sense, our teachers. We call them sir. अबे तो एक नई मुसीबत आ गई ना, ये नया सर आ गया ना, ये सर. अरे ये कहाँ से आ गया? ये सर लोग तो बैठे हैं, पढ़े लिखे हैं, अपने को पढ़ा है, कुछ सीखा है. अब सर शुरू हो गया. I must tell you, Constituent Assembly had its own secretariat. The issue of citizenship was not settled. Partition riots were taking place. Refugees were pouring into country. And the Secretariat of the Constituent Assembly was busy in preparing the electoral rolls for the ensuing elections. This is our history. This is our struggle. This is the contribution of our forefathers and mothers. 11 of our mothers were also there in the Constituent Assembly. And normally we don't speak about them. And one man, may his soul rest in peace, Sukumar Sen, Election Commissioner of India. No telephone facilities, no trains, no buses, no telegrams. 90% of the areas were completely inaccessible. Yet they have reached the villages on the back of ponies, horses, donkeys, by walk. And their business was an inclusive business. Include everyone. And what were those days? When women were not willing to disclose or utter the name of their husband. And sometimes even in some further conservative families, even the husband refused to give the name of his wife. अरे वो कुछ बोलते हैं भाई, अरे जो भी है भाई हम नहीं बोलते. उन लोग घूंघट में हैं, मिलते नहीं किसी से, नाम नहीं बोलते, घर का नंबर नहीं है, सिर्फ मोहल्ला है, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा स्ट्रीट नंबर. Under those circumstances, the electoral rolls were prepared and the general elections were held in 1952. Now you take up crores and crores of people from the voters list. Who are they? Most of them, you know, वो वी द पीपुल में नहीं है. वो हम भारत के जो लोग, आई एम रीडिंग में पढ़े, वो हम में नहीं है, वो गैर है, वो और है, वो तो वो है. अब इससे ज्यादा मैं क्या बोलूं. And who comes in the next category? The migrants. Who are those migrants? Coming from the weakest sections of the society, Dalits, tribes, and Ati Pichda, Daridra Narayans. वो आता है समस्तीपुर से, काम करता है यहाँ मादापुर में. कहाँ है वो? नहीं है सर, वो काम पे चला है. क्या नाम उसका वोटर लिस्ट में है? चलो निकल. Then are you going to be into a new form of democracy where the government select the voters instead of voters selecting the government? Where are we going? These are the troubling questions, and this was well predicted and foreseen by that perhaps the greatest visionary this country ever had, Baba Saheb. He said, भाई ये बुरे लोगों के हाथ में आप मत रखिए इस देश को. अभी ये आपका काम है संभालना. हम जो करना है हम तो कर दिए. ये सर का मोहब्बत है, मुसीबत है. You have the audacity to ask Professor Amartya Sen. Yesterday you must have seen Hindu. That has triggered both the news items. One by a statement by Justice Buyan about functioning of the democracy, and a collegium in the matter of transfer of judges from one court to the. He's a sitting judge. He said, what nonsense is going on? And the second was a big, though both of them were side by side. You know what is the question asked to Amartya Sen? भाई ये रिकॉर्ड्स देखने के बाद ऐसा लगता है your mother was only 15 when you were born. Which one is correct? And her mother, his mother herself was a voter for more than 75 years before she passed away. And this man is voting, retained the citizenship out of loyalty and love for this country, though he teaches abroad for the last more than 50 years as a distinguished economist. तो फिर आपका नाम कैसा लिखे? Sir, shall I confess something? I was born when my mother was 50. Suppose that question is asked to me tomorrow. Do you have any record of your parents? I don't have not a scrap of paper. I don't have my birth registered in anywhere because in those days, in this part of the state, Telangana, barring one or two districts, I do not know, there were no births and deaths registers. ఉన్నాగాని వాడెవడో పోలీస్ పట్టాడు, వాడు ఏదో రాస్తాడంటే రాసిండు, రాయిపోతే రాయలేదు అన్నాడు అని జగన్మోహన్ పేరు రాస్తే రాసిండు, లేకపోతే లేదు. So are we going to select, whether the government is going to select the voters? Who are the citizens of this country? The Constitution recognizes and proclaims everybody born on the day when country became free are the citizens of this country. Now I come to the constitutional CAA. The issue was raised in JNU in a big manner, in an organized fashion, for the first time, even before any one of us started speaking about it. And one man who raised these issues of citizenship, which I am raising now today before you, was Umar Khalid. Very difficult not to get emotional when we take his name. I do not know him personally. I wish I would have known. Six and a half years in prison. And my fraternity has no qualms. I can't use any harsher words than that. He is supposed to have delivered a speech in Amaravati, not your Amaravati, Amaravati in Maharashtra. Your Amaravati has yet to take a shape. What did he say? It's in public domain, anyone can look into it. We will not reply to the violence unleashed against us in a violent manner. We will resist peacefully. And he has even taken the name of Mahatma. Civil Nafarmani. We will take up this movement by non-cooperating with the government and by civil disobedience. We will not accept this law which is unjust on the face of it. That's what Gandhiji did when Rowlatt was attacked. He said it's my natural right, my birthright to resist such laws. I resisted. And the judge who convicted him for his confession, he went into the chambers and resigned. And thereafter he wrote his biography. He said the sin, if any, the word, the expression sin for Britishers, Europeans, no Christians is a big word, committed, was a convicting Mahatma, the saint. Therefore, I don't desire to hold any judicial office. I am not advising anyone who dealt with Umar Khalid in such a manner what they should do. I am not saying anything. Hitherto, we have known only the executive taking away the liberties of the people. Now, the highest court of the land tells that boy that you are entitled to renew your application, but after 1 year. Bail application can be filed every day. If Srinivas Rao is arrested today, he can file an application tomorrow. If his application is dismissed, he can file another application day after. That is a statutory and a constitutional right guaranteed. And you tell that boy, you renew your application after 1 year. What a great idea of liberalism in action in judicial forum. And where he should file? Come here after 1 year, we are here to take care. No. Move your bail application before appropriate court. Well, you go to the trial court, take 2 years. Go to the high court, another 2 years. 6.5 plus 4, 10.5 plus 1 year, because he has to renew application, 11.5 years. And by the time it lands before my lords, even if he gets the bail, it would be 12 years. 12.5 years. Is this the idea of Constitution? Forgive me because I have become a little emotional about talking Umar Khalid, whom I do not know. Ladies and gentlemen, we are passing through a very, very difficult, critical times. Therefore, you may ask me, चलो ये सब तो ठीक है, फिर हम क्या करना? What shall we do? మమ్మల్ని ఏం చేయమంటున్నావు? అయ్యా నీ ఏడుపోతే మమ్మల్ని ఏం చేయమంటావు? My only request is speak. Speak and speak. And don't listen to anyone. Whatever you want to speak, speak. I know I am asking you to take a big risk. Your exercise of your right to freedom of speech and expression is not going to be that easy. And don't be under the presumption that it won't cost you anything. It may. But your patriotism is put to test. Your love for this country is put to test. Stand up, speak.